Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of A Brand New Perspective. I'm your co-host, Linda Bethay.
And I'm your other co-host, Finley.
And today we're going to talk about brand new ways to launch brands with Gen Z. I have been a CMO and a marketing executive for too many years to count. Finley tells me I'm old all the time.
You're wise.
I'm wise. Oh, I like that. I'll take that repositioning. I'm not old, I'm wise. So I've been part of teams that have launched many brands, and some of those launches have been successful and some have been complete failures. But what I've seen throughout my career is that the way that you launch brands to connect with younger generations has changed.
So much. It's completely evolved. A couple of years ago versus the way they do things now, it's like two completely different worlds and how it works.
And I do think the fundamentals of marketing haven't changed. I was part of the team that launched Pure Leaf iced tea back when I was at PepsiCo. And that was a really interesting launch because we found a white space opportunity in the category. Pure Leaf was actually the first ready-to-drink iced tea.
Was it really?
It was.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Brewed tea leaves. So we actually had these huge brewers in the factories that were brewing real tea leaves. And that's why it was called Pure Leaf. And we use the symbol of the leaf to convey the product difference. And that became a huge focus of the marketing. It's what we in marketing world call DBAs, a distinct brand asset. And so the leaf connoted that, but also served as a consistent symbol across all of our launch materials. It featured very prominently in our packaging design. It featured very prominently in our campaign, which was called For the Love of the Leaf. But it was a big splash launch. And that was typically what you did back in the day to launch a new brand.
I will say it's also changed a lot. I think nowadays, at least when I'm going to shop for things, I look a lot at packaging. Like the Pure Leaf packaging, to me, it's not boring. It's just, it's not bright and fun and colorful versus like my Bloom is so fun and colorful. Like the packaging of like the new like probiotic sodas that have blown up, like that's what draws my attention versus I feel like especially with the Pure Leaf, you guys were really just focused on like the message surrounding the product versus now it's a lot more focused on the look and who's promoting it.
I agree with that. And I do think packaging has always been critically important. Even if you have a huge marketing budget and run a big ad campaign, it's still your packaging that's going to be seen by the most number of people. And I agree that fun, colorful packaging can stand out more on shelf, but it's also important that it fits your brand positioning. And for a brand
for
like
natural and
exactly. So it was the clear bottle so you could actually see the product, right? The leaf and the green denoting that
it was a good choice.
Is really important. But you raise an interesting point because it used to be that we designed packaging for the shelf. We're going, and we talked about this, I think, last time on the podcast. People are going to purchase things in person. And now, more often than not, they're discovering things online
and then going and looking for it. I recently just tried the Chobani cookie dough creamer that blew up all over TikTok. And I went to Target and I was looking for it specifically. I don't think I looked at any of the other creamers because I knew I wanted to try that one because I'd seen it online.
Right.
Like I go in looking for specific things.
And so it has to be something that jumps out and stops the scroll, right? Which
Definitely.
I think bright colors, fun designs tend to do that more than something that's maybe more recessive.
I will also say over time, American foods and American products have become a lot more processed and less natural. And I think like the brighter colors to me versus like how you were saying the Pure Leaf packaging is supposed to represent the natural. It's made from the real leaf. So it's more neutral packaging versus now like I love my sodas and my drinks, but it's definitely not coming from the earth and it's definitely not natural. But I think the brighter colored packaging kind of reflects that in a way.
Back to the way we launch brands, another brand that I was part of the launch team on was Bubly sparkling water, which is still one of my favorite brands. Again, it was much more of what I would call a traditional brand launch where we spent, months and months working on the packaging design, the launch campaign, and we came out of the gate with a full 360 launch campaign with mass media, really trying to drive broad awareness at launch to support the distribution that we wanted to get in grocery and C-store and mass retail. And I counter that with, for example, the launch of Poppi, right? Which has now been acquired by Pepsi for a lot of money, but they've done really well. Launch in a big mass way.
They've started small. A lot of these newer companies have been starting small and getting influencers to promote, and that's how they've blown up.
Yes, and you could argue, well, that's a small company versus a big company like Pepsi, but they've also been able to have more success than a lot of the big companies. And I think that is because of the way they're launching brands and starting with those micro communities. To your point, Poppi started online, right? I think they started on social media and through influencers.
Yeah.
So they built this fan base before they expanded and became somewhat of a cult phenomenon.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what's helped, especially because now a lot of the newer upcoming marketers who are a bit younger and understand the concept of like the online community in terms of marketing now know how to market to younger generations too. If you look on TikTok or Instagram, the brands themselves have TikTok pages and they have really funny ones too. They'll go and they'll comment on their influencers' pages. I see like the Bounty paper towel brand on TikTok, like comment on it. Like you know that there's somebody young behind the scenes running that. And I think it goes the same with how they're starting on social media.
Yeah. So it's like while traditional marketing principles haven't changed, there is a modern marketing playbook that's required to be successful, particularly when targeting or recruiting younger generations.
They've done a good job, like brands that are newer, such as Poppi or Olipop, have done a good job of like sticking to the classic marketing ideas, but also keeping up with the newer things. And I think that's part of the reason they've been so successful.
Yeah. And beyond just building an influencer base, leveraging social media, one of the things I've noticed with successful launches lately is really focusing on building the buzz or the anticipation prior to the launch.
Yes, I know. Especially, I'm drinking the Shirley Temple energy flavor. Shirley Temple took over all these brands. Poppi has one. Bloom has one. There's so many brands that have now done a Shirley Temple, and that was one of the biggest things is they do all these teasers online of the Shirley Temple, and they get people so excited. I see videos online of like people going to stores just trying to find the new flavor before it's released. Like they do a great job of like building up anticipation for these new flavors. Like especially this flavor, I think I've spent like 3 days looking for it before I finally found it.
I'll vouch for that.
And I was so excited when I found it, but I wouldn't have known to go looking for it if there wasn't so much buzz about it online.
Yeah. And it used to be as a marketer, you focused on the launch moment and making the launch itself as big as possible.
Now it's almost more focused on the before the launch.
Exactly. And I think a few really good examples of this are celebrity brands and how they are leveraging buzz to build huge anticipation prior to a launch. And one example I would use is Taylor Swift. And I think she's really good at this, but she's just a mastermind at marketing in general. If you go back to kind of like the principles around marketing, she found a white space opportunity. When she started her career, nobody was really speaking to young girls in the music community. And she started writing songs that really resonated with that younger female audience and built a really strong fan base. And I think another thing she's done really well throughout her career is she has a very strong brand positioning. She knows who she is. And
she's a very authentic person.
Yes, very authentic and a very good true north. And she's stayed true to that throughout her career, even at the same time while she's able to reinvent herself and evolve along with cultural trends or even her own evolution as a person and an artist.
Yeah, and you can see that through her like older albums compared to her newer albums. She's shifted the genre of her music. I know her first album was very country. Her folklore album, that was one of her more recent ones. I think it was 2020, it was more folk.
Yes.
And then we also have some more pop albums, Reputation. Like she's really gone everywhere, but she's been so successful with every single album. Like there hasn't been one that's been a dud.
And I think
they've
that's
all been so successful.
Of the consistency in who she is. She's able to change the style of music and the genre because it's still very much Taylor Swift doing country, Taylor Swift doing folk, Taylor Swift doing pop music. And so it's that consistency as a brand that's important to be able to be timeless, but also timely and relevant to today's consumer. And I think she's brilliant at that. And I also think she's been brilliant at building a community. The other brands may leverage influencers to do that. She's an influencer herself and building out the Swifties. She has this loyal fan base that she's cultivated. And so she knows when she's ready to launch something that they'll show up for her. And she really speaks to them in an interesting way. I mean, I would argue you and your friends were Swifties for a long time.
Yeah, I still love Taylor Swift. I'm not like as big of a Swiftie as I used to be, but I still love her music. Probably listen to it every day still, honestly.
I used to love watching you and your friends get so excited.
We would be so
about
excited.
an upcoming album drop.
We would do like album drop parties. Like we would all get together at someone's house and we'd have like food and we'd all like listen to the album together. That was so fun. I know for the concert, I was lucky to go to the Eras Tour concert, which was incredible. We all made like the bracelets that you like traded with the other fans. Like it's like one big family in a way.
I think those are the cool marketing lessons to learn from her is leading up to those album launches, she was dropping Easter eggs and hints.
Oh, all the time.
And I remember you and your friends talking about that and trying to figure out or decipher the clues.
Yeah, there were so many people on TikTok doing it too. We would pull Easter eggs from everything. Literally, like, we would look at a story that she posted on Instagram. We'd be like, she's wearing a red hat. That has to mean something. Did it? Probably not. But then there were also little things that we missed that did mean something. Like, she's just been very smart with the way she markets before the album.
And think about how much more engaged that made you as a fan.
So much.
Leading up to the album launch, leading up to the concert. And then you mentioned the friendship bracelets. That's another way to build community, not just as a fan of Taylor Swift, but as part of her fan base. Yeah. Right? You met other fans at the concert, you exchanged bracelets. Yeah. And it became just a much more engaging thing to be a part of, a true community.
Especially at the concert. I don't know if you remember, we had the bracelets that would light up during certain songs. And like that was a way that brought everyone together. Especially we went to the one, was it at MetLife? Yeah. Which is a huge stadium, but everybody having the bracelet, it was like, even if I was all the way across the stadium from somebody, we're wearing the same bracelet. It's the same concert. We're all in the same place. And that was another way that I think she's done a great job. Like, I haven't seen a ton of artists do, like, the bracelets that all light up. I'm sure there's been similar things, but, like, she really did a good job of, like, bringing everybody together.
Yeah, that's a brilliant example of a brand that has scaled. She's huge. She's arguably one of the biggest artists in the world, but still found a way to maintain that sense of community for her true fans.
And especially as her fan base has grown so immensely.
And I think that's hard for a lot of brands. As they scale, they reach a tipping point. They're trying to appeal to everyone, and they lose what made them special. And I think what she's done really
she stayed really true to herself, and that's part of what makes her so special. It's probably the most important part.
Yep.
And the fact that she hasn't lost it, sorry, I cut you off.
Okay.
The fact that she hasn't lost that is one of the reasons she's still so big.
Yes. But I think that's a lesson brands can learn is how do you stay true to your purpose and your positioning as you scale and grow. Because every brand wants to grow and be big and have a mass following or a mass consumer base. But it's important as you do that, that you maintain the clarity. I think another celebrity that's done a really good job thinking about how to launch a new brand and generate that buzz and anticipation is Alix Earle.
Real active.
Yes. Yep. So I think we talked about her a little bit on the last podcast and about how she's such an authentic influencer in what she does. But I also think she's a brilliant marketer, or she has a team of brilliant marketers behind her, because the way she launched this new brand was so smart. So I don't know.
And it's very fitting for her. I see everybody talking about how they wouldn't trust influencer brands. And I also think that, but this is a brand that I would trust and would purchase because she's been the reason she originally blew up on TikTok is because she shared her acne story. And now she's created skincare specifically targeted for people with acne. And so knowing that she's been through the pain herself, I trust her. I'm like, she wouldn't put out a product if she didn't truly believe in it.
Right. She was doing her press tour for the launch of the new brand recently, and I watched her on the Drew Barrymore show, and they showed actually one of her first ever videos. She was a senior at the University of Miami and doing these get ready with me's, and she'd been covering up her acne for so many years, and she was so frustrated, and so she did a TikTok without makeup to say, hey, this is actually what I look like. Now get ready with me and see how I cover my acne. And that was the video that blew up. And she was so surprised, like, oh my God, this is so ugly. Why is this resonating with people? But to your point,
real.
It's real.
And that's part of the reason, I think that has to be part of why she named it Real Actives, because she's been so real about her journey with the acne. And I think that's part of the reason why so many people are now jumping to get this product.
Yes. And she's built obviously a massive following as a person and an influencer, but then she leveraged that so smartly in advance of the launch of this brand. So she actually created 2 social media accounts called WTF is Alix doing? That was the hashtag. And within days, I think she had over 500,000 new followers on those accounts that were now all talking to each other and talking with their friends about WTF
is Alix doing?
And so everybody was guessing. I think everybody knew she was launching a brand,
but they didn't know what.
They didn't know what. They didn't know what category. And so all of a sudden you had
people guessing and talking about it and getting everybody to be like, what is she doing? What is she launching?
Exactly. I read a behind-the-scenes article with her about this, and her marketing team didn't want to do this, but she felt really strongly about this as a launch tactic and pushed forward with it, which again, I appreciate. I appreciate, a brand staying true to who they are, not always listening to their marketing teams or agency partners. But she sent out massive puzzle pieces to New York City influencers. They each received an individual massive puzzle piece, and then it formed a billboard in Soho that, I think it was built piece by piece over a couple of weeks. And so it started to reveal the first image from her new campaign.
Oh, that's really cool.
And as each piece was added, people were guessing more and more about what it was going to be.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I'm sure somebody eventually guessed what it really was, but it was just another really cool way to drive that buzz and anticipation.
Yeah, I didn't know that she did that. That's really smart.
Yeah. And I think people would say, well, yeah, buzz is great. Everybody wants buzz, but buzz is only buzz. Does it actually turn into real performance? And I think for her, she's proved that it did, because I believe her thing sold out within the first few days.
She sent out the PR packages to influencers. I don't know if it was when it launched or a couple days before she officially launched, so that they would post videos trying it, and so everybody would see for themselves how good the products are.
So again, just another great lesson for marketers on 1, staying true to who you are as a brand, and then 2, leveraging buzz and anticipation ahead of a launch to make sure that you're driving that awareness and that engagement right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears for a minute here and talk about another much buzzed about topic these days, which is AI.
Yeah.
AI, slop, or slay.
Oh,
so I know you love these lingos. AI, slop, or slay. So there's been a lot of buzz in the marketing community about the use of AI to make marketing campaigns. And there's actually been a lot of backlash against brands that have used AI to produce marketing campaigns. Coca-Cola received a ton of backlash on their AI-produced ad, McDonald's, etc. And I think the pushback has been, it feels sloppy. It feels lazy, right? You have brilliant marketers, brilliant creative teams, and they're just defaulting to leveraging technology to put something in front of consumers. And I think that leads a lot of consumers to say, what else are you cutting corners on? Are you cutting corners on the quality of the product?
Interesting, yeah.
As well. It starts to make the wheels turn a little bit around, okay, what does this company really stand for? So there's been a lot of backlash against companies that are using AI to produce content. So I'm curious, from your perspective, for your generation, how do you view brands that are using AI for that?
I think if done well, if they use the AI well, it can make for a great ad or a great campaign. But I have a perspective coming from somebody whose mom works in marketing, so I've seen the technology that you use behind the scenes, the technology that isn't even AI. And so I know what goes into making these campaigns, versus I think a lot of people who are seeing these AI ads are thinking that everything before was solely just the human people working on it, when there's a lot else that goes on behind the scenes. So now that they're seeing the AI because it's in everybody's lives, they're thinking that it's cutting corners, and it can be, but I think if used well, it can just help speed up the process.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely not the average consumer, considering you've been on set, you've produced some ads, so definitely not your average Gen Z. But I think anytime there's a new technology, people tend to fall on 2 extremes, all for it or all against it. And so, yes, there are people that are coming out, in support of AI, like the Coca-Colas of the world, that are leveraging it on a regular basis. And then there are brands that are going the complete opposite end of the spectrum. There was a recent ad by Almond Breeze, almond milk, that used the Jonas Brothers. And the whole premise of the ad was making fun of AI-generated ads. It was actually really
wait,
funny.
really? I
Yeah,
haven't
so
seen
you'll
it.
have to watch that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it was taking the conversation that's happening behind the scenes and actually putting it on the screen and talking about, hey, we need to make an ad for almond milk. Should we use AI? And then it was all these funny scenarios because, again, AI isn't quite there yet from a technological standpoint to produce high quality output, which is why they're calling it AI slop, because it's pretty sloppy. And so that was a humorous take on it. And then there are other brands like American Eagle or Aerie that are coming out and saying, we will never use AI. We will never use AI influencers. And so those are brands targeting your generation. Curious what you think about people coming out and making such a stand on the use of AI.
I think it's a little, I don't want to say naive, but AI is still so new that there's so much, it's improved so much from when it first launched to now, and there's going to be so much more improvement. So to say that you're never going to use it, if it improves more and it becomes an even better tool than it already is, I think that could cause some issues for the companies who have said that we're never going to use it if they do end up using it in the future, because then consumers are like, well, can we trust them if they said that they were never going to and now they are?
That's an interesting point.
If they stay true to it, but then they're losing out on having an incredible tool to help them with their marketing. They're backing themselves into a corner a little bit.
Exactly. So I think specifically Aerie came out and said we will never use AI models because J. Crew did recently and received a lot of backlash against the use of that from a modeling standpoint. And I do think in the clothing industry, in the beauty industry, in the fashion industry, and particularly targeting young women, it is important to show real people.
I was going to say, I think I'd prefer real people.
Of real people. So I do think that could be an interesting place to draw a line in the sand.
Yeah. Going back to Alix Earle, her product images that she's done with her models, she's been very clear that she hasn't edited their skin at all. And she's been very clear that the whole point is that of the Real Actives brand is that it's real people, real skin, real products. And so there's a lot of close-up shots where you can see the imperfect skin, but it's so real. And that's part of the reason I've actually looked into buying the products, because she's been so authentic with the use of her models and the use of the editing.
Well, that's an interesting perspective because airbrushing, Photoshop.
It's very popular. It's common.
Right. Those are tools that have been around for a while now. Using AI as models is like that on steroids, right? It's the next evolution of that. So it's not something that hasn't existed or the companies and brands haven't had to grapple with in the industry. That's the new form of it.
I think there are some things that I wouldn't mind AI models. Like if it was like a food company, I think I wouldn't really care as much. But if it was something like skincare, something that I would put on myself, I think I would definitely want to see like a real person using it.
And as a marketer, that's why it's important that we have guidelines and governance as these tools continue to emerge and evolve. How are we going to use them responsibly? And so there should be industry forums and associations that come together to talk about this and make sure that we're thinking through the ethical implications of the use of AI in marketing. The other thing interesting about AI, right, is we talk about the need for authenticity and to be real and to be transparent. And I do think a lot of your generation values those things and so doesn't love the use of AI in marketing.
But we also use it a lot ourselves.
We're kind of
contradictory.
And then help me understand this Fruit Love Island phenomenon.
Apparently it blew up on TikTok. It was an AI like video series on TikTok that came after the popularity of this recent Love Island, and they did it, but it was like fruit. So I think there was like a kiwi coupled with like a strawberry or something. There's also been a lot of backlash in general. They've been using a lot of AI to do ASMR, which I know people have done backlash. Like people who are very caring about the environment are very worried and have been very against the use of AI because of its effect on our Earth. And so I know a lot of people, even if they are like, yeah, the ASMR that is AI, it's pretty great, it's pretty awesome, it puts me to sleep, they don't like how it affects our planet. And so it really depends on like the audience. I think a lot of people love watching the ASMR AI fruit. I personally do. I don't like that it negatively affects our planet, but I mean, the Love Island fruit things was pretty great. I can't lie, that was funny.
Yes, the impact on our planet is massive. And back to the point on the need for guardrails, governance, there needs to be a discussion around the sustainable component of this and that climate impact, because that is not something people have thought through and the long-term implications.
Especially, I think maybe people didn't expect AI to blow up as much as it did.
Yeah.
So now they're being forced to think about these long-term implications that maybe they just didn't think they were ever going to have to think about.
And things like this, I mean, again, it launched on March 14th, and since then it has over 250 million views and 20 million likes.
It blew
for its
up.
creator. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal, right? That in less than a month
for AI fruits
that was, arguably AI slop based on Love Island and using fruits blew up that much. I mean, brands would kill for 200 million views and 20 million likes.
Yeah.
An interesting dichotomy for your generation where you love AI content that's entertaining, whether it is this Fruit Island or ASMR videos. But I wonder if you discern a difference between AI for that purpose versus AI that's trying to sell you something.
I think definitely I like it for the entertainment purposes a lot more than trying to sell something to me, because I would I would trust like a real human being, even if I know it's somebody who's being paid to market. I still think I would trust that over pixels generated on a screen. I think it also comes down to humans want to connect. We want to see real people. And if we see a real person saying, hey, this is pretty good, we're going to trust that. We're going to be like, okay, maybe this is pretty good.
It's fascinating that you mentioned that we're humans and we want to connect.
It's in our nature.
It is in our nature. And I attended a conference earlier this week called the Human Attention Summit that was all about the impact of AI and its impact on humanity. And the discussions were really, really thought-provoking. And at the end of the day, it did come down to the fact that we are humans. And while AI can help us be more productive, can help us have a competitive advantage in our work, at the end of the day, it can't replace humans and it can't replace that need for connection. And AI can't hug you. And AI has no feelings.
I think this has become part of the topic of AI replacing jobs, because I think AI can be helpful in a lot of jobs such as marketing, but when it comes to medicine, there's a lot that AI can do. But if I go to see a doctor, I want to see a real person. I want to see somebody who can, if I get bad test results, say, hey, you have bad test results, but it's okay. Here's how we're going to fix it. If I saw a robot, I don't think that would be very comforting.
Would that be true in all instances, though? When I think about the rise of telehealth, I've used telehealth a number of times.
Oh, really?
If I'm traveling and can't get in to see my doctor and I'm not feeling well, and that advance in technology has been so helpful to me. I feel like if it were something as routine as I have a cold and
I think for smaller things, it's okay. I think it's still important to have the humans in medicine, because if I have a big issue, I'm going to want to see somebody who can bring me comfort. I feel like there's kind of a wall between humans and AI, and I think I just want bad news delivered by a person, but it can be hard because you don't know if it'll be bad news.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I do think it gives me hope. I think AI can be transformative.
Oh, definitely.
When used the right way.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we've fully figured out how to
use it the right way.
In a positive way. But I do have hope that it won't replace humans. Hopefully it will make us.
I think if we can work in partnership with AI, but it can't fully replace. It's not possible.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, a human being is something very special. Yeah. So now it's time for your favorite segment of the podcast.
Cool or cringe.
Cool or cringe. So Yahoo posted an article last week, and it's part of their series that they're calling Generation Cringe.
Okay.
And it said that Gen Z's biggest fear is laughable at first, but it's quietly ruining their lives. And so what is Gen Z's biggest fear, according to Yahoo? Being cringe.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. I will say at first, I don't want to say Yahoo's cringe, but I don't think I've ever used Yahoo in my life. When I think of Yahoo, I think of older generations, people who were here when the first computer was made. I know, I use Google and Safari. I mean, I see people when I'm at work and I take their emails and they say at Yahoo. I'm like, Yahoo? What? How many years ago did you make this? 20? I don't think I've seen somebody in my generation ever have a Yahoo account. But regardless, I think if they want to say that, it can be true, but I think it also just goes to a more broad fear of embarrassment, which cringes can be kind of another word for that. We just don't want to be seen doing something embarrassing. And I think that can be true for everybody in social nature. You want to be liked. You want to be thought of as cool and oh, that person's really successful. They know what they're doing. And so I can see that being people's biggest fear.
Well, that goes back to us being humans, right?
Yeah, we want to be liked. We want to be successful. We want to be seen as good people who are doing good things.
Yes, that's human nature.
Yeah.
All right, let's set aside the source of the article and your feelings on that and focus on the content. The article says 50% of Gen Z say that anxiety of being perceived as cringe prevents them from doing things.
Yeah.
Do you find that true?
I think so. Especially like at school, there's like people who are seen as like the cool people and there's like the cool crowd. And I know a lot of people who maybe don't want to go do something that isn't as cool. Like if the sports are super cool, maybe they don't want to go join the musical because they're scared that like.
I love musicals.
I was a theater kid when I was younger. I'm not anymore, but I loved it. But I know there's people who probably would be too scared to be seen as like an outcast.
But do you think that's more prevalent with your generation? Because we talked about it being human nature. And
I think it's more prevalent because I also think bullying has been more prevalent online because you can hide behind a screen.
Rise of the internet and social media has made your generation more anxious and afraid of embarrassment or being.
Because now also the embarrassment, if posted online, if it's posted online, it's for everyone to see. So now it's not just, oh, the couple people that were talking about it are laughing at you. It's now everybody at my school has seen it.
Yeah. The stakes
it's widespread. Yeah.
So the article goes on to list a number of things. It says Gen Z finds cringy.
Okay.
So I'm curious as to your perspective on each of these. And again, they issued a survey to Gen Z, and these are the top things that Gen Z finds cringy.
Okay.
Number 1, drinking.
It really depends on the crowd. I know a lot of people who drink, but I also know that half of the people who do, I think, are just socially pressured into it and don't actually enjoy it. And then I know a lot of people who are kind of just like, what are you doing? So I think that one really depends on like the crowd and the person.
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty split.
I do know that the incidence of underage drinking has decreased with your generation.
Definitely.
I don't know if it's driven by a fear of being seen as cringy or not, but that is a stat.
I'd say that's pretty split.
Getting a driver's license. That one surprised me.
Interesting, really? I personally can't wait to drive. I'm so excited to have my driver's license. I think a lot of my friends are very excited to have their driver's license. I haven't heard of that being cringy.
Also excited for you to get your driver's license and equally terrified as somebody that has been in the passenger seat with you.
I'm a great driver.
Wheel. Her definition of great and my definition of great are very different. All right, number 3, using the wrong emojis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that. I think I have my emojis that I like to use, and I think there's definitely emojis that I stray away from. The other day I was driving and I asked you to text from my phone, and you texted this emoji, and when we got home and I took a look at my phone, I was like, what are you doing? Like, this emoji is never something that I would use.
So
and
was I cringe?
Yeah, kind of a little bit, honestly. I was just kind of like, that's never something that I would use. So there's definitely emojis that I use and I don't. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say they're cringy, but there's definitely ones that I feel like are like socially acceptable.
I never thought of it like this, but I wonder if emojis skew towards different generations.
They definitely do. You guys love just the thumbs up. You guys like the boring ones. I like my unicorn one and like the sparkle. I think the only emojis you've sent me are like the clapping or like the thumbs up.
Parting your hair the wrong way is seen as cringe?
Yes.
So the side part is cringy?
I love you. I'm not a fan of the side part. I think it looks good on you. I don't want a side part personally. I think if I went to school with a side part, I'd get laughed at. Maybe we'll do a social experiment about that. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we can pair it with the next one. The next thing Gen Z finds cringy is wearing the wrong jeans.
Yes. I hate skinny jeans. Sorry. I know that they're coming back in fashion. I don't like them. I think especially this goes back to things that are trending on social media. Right now it's like the low-rise baggy jeans. If everybody's wearing the low-rise baggy jeans and you're wearing skinny jeans.
So I'm just a sitting cringe over here with my side part and skinny jeans.
Are those skinny jeans?
They're more straight leg.
They're more straight leg, yeah. But
so I'm the ultimate cringe mom.
And same with like capris.
Next one on the list I also found interesting. They say that Gen Z finds trying too hard cringy.
Yeah, okay. This one I think is also pretty split in terms of the crowd. I think people want to be seen as like chill and like laid back, but at the same time it also depends. I go to a school that's very academically driven, and so it's the place where like all of the kids are working really, really hard and nobody's thinking that that's cringy. They all are working hard. Everybody's academically driven. I think if you work hard, you're successful. I think if you're successful, you're not cringy.
Okay.
So I don't think it's cringe. I think some people do think that right now. I think as they get older, their opinion on that will change, but
interesting perspective.
I think it's cool.
Okay.
Work hard. Go to school.
This is being recorded.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play this back to you.
Work hard. Go to school.
When you fight me on doing your homework tonight, we're going to play back the
Work
tape.
hard. Go to school.
Folks, right? Work
go to
hard.
School.
Go to school.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast, actually, the Emma Chamberlain podcast, and she had said, she was like, your like life goal should be doing as well as you can in school and working hard and just doing the best that you can. And I was like, yeah, honestly, that's like all you can control is just your effort. So go to school, go to work, do your job.
That's a great
work hard, be cool.
That's a great perspective and a great life lesson.
Yeah.
You can't control outcomes. You can control effort and input.
I think people who think that putting in effort is cringy, those people are cringy. Putting in effort is awesome.
I like that. That can be your yearbook quote. Putting in effort is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? So you agree that your generation does have a fear of being seen as cringe. But at the same time, one of the things your generation loves to watch on social media is compilations of cringe videos.
Yeah, or this isn't really my generation, but like when Vine was a big thing of all the like funny kind of like memes and like flop videos, that was a big thing. But I think also now that those videos are on the internet and they've blown up, people are almost kind of embarrassed of being like compared to or seen on one of those videos. There have been like, with the creation of stickers, I'll like edit my friends' faces and my face onto different stickers, and it's hilarious, but I think there's definitely some people would probably not want to be, so I think that can definitely stop people from doing stuff.
So we fear being cringy, but cringe compilations are cool.
Yes.
That's it for today's episode. We hope you gained a brand new perspective.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok. It's Brand New Perspective 3. We'll be posting some funny kind of meme compilations.
Cringe compilations.
Cringe compilations of some edits of our behind the scenes of filming and updates on upcoming episodes.